Hello, hope everyone's having a good day or night wherever you are. This video is going to be looking at how to build a successful and long-lasting team. I hope it's helpful and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching. So the first point of building a team that will actually last and that can be successful is picking like-minded players. So, the formation of the team. You want to be picking players that have similar mindset and attitudes towards the game as you. So players, whether if you want to grind and play 8 hours a day, you want to pick players that want to do the same thing. If you just want to play officials and play the game for fun, you want to pick players that have the same commitment and approach to the game as you. So your commitment levels need to match, otherwise there will be future problems and implications that come with that. You also want to pick players for the team that you get along with and actually want to play with. You don't want to be dreading getting onto prac every night and thinking of CS as a job. I feel like, especially when you're just starting, thinking of a game that you're playing, in hopes to be a professional or, just competitive in general, thinking of it as a job and work is pretty detrimental towards your motivation. Unless you're crazy, unless you're the David Goggins of working and you love that shit. But for most people, you don't want to see it as work. You want to see it as a hobby, a passion, something that you want to get better at because you love it, So your teammates and the people around you definitely contribute to that. So picking the right people is the most important part of creating any team that will last longer than one season. Majority of teams that you see in ANZ champs and stuff that just disband after a season, whether they implode, explode, they lose a big game and they're just oh, we're never playing together. I hate everyone on that team. You want a team that can last through the good and bad times and you can actually build relationships through. So the second point of creating a team that will have success, hopefully, and that will last, is creating a positive culture and setting behavioral and attitude expectations really early in the team. This needs to be done pretty much a week into the creation of the team. You need to have a talk all together and discuss what's acceptable and what's not. If you want to be a team that actually enjoys playing together and you love playing, you don't want people to be sighing in the mic or moaning every time they die or raging and slamming their desk and complaining after every single fight they take. It's just everyone gets annoyed, everyone gets tilted, but if you actually want to get better, you need to put that shit behind you and actually focus on the game at hand. And you can't be verbally tilting on mic and upsetting other players on your team. I'm someone that if my teammates are sighing on mic, it pisses me off and makes me play worse. So you need to set behavioral expectations early. You need to talk about what's acceptable and what's not, what you tolerate as a team and what you won't. And these need to apply to everyone on the team, There will be off days, everyone's human, but for majority, 98% of the time, you need to adhere to the expectations set by your team. And if people aren't, you pull them up on it. You don't do this ridiculousness where you talk behind people's backs and you create division in the team. You're a team, you chose to play together, so work through your issues together. If you have an issue, if you have something that you want to talk about, an issue with one of your teammates, so maybe they're acting out and they're not adhering to the expectation set, talk to them directly. Either talk to them one-on-one or talk to them with the whole team there. Don't do this stuff where you message behind people's backs and create divisions. It's just gonna wreck the team. It'll ruin your experience and it's just overall bad for everyone. Alright, so the next part of building a team that is long-lasting and successful is the ability to give and also receive feedback from your teammates. So you assuming that you built the positive team environment, you're starting to set up a good network of supportive players that actually want to be there and play together. You have to be able to openly and honestly give and receive feedback. So you have to understand that your teammates have your best interest at heart. They're not just saying something because they want to bring you down or they want to make you look bad. There needs to be the assumption that your teammates are there back you up and they're there to make you better as a player, because you should all have a similar goal in mind, that you've already spoken about, and you should have already measures in place to achieve that goal. Now you need to actively work on it, work on mistakes that you make, whether you're dying on default or your teammates, you could improve a strat that you think could be better if you use a different PCU tool or different spacing. You and your teammates need to understand that you're there to help each other out and you're a team for a reason. You're not competing with each other. You're playing as a team to win. So you need to be able to give and receive feedback. But a big part of that is also how you're actually giving feedback. something I've heard a lot from players in the past is like, oh no, people might not like me on the team because like I'm really blunt with my feedback. Like what I say is really blunt. I'm really honest about what I see, and it's like I always cringe at that a bit because it's just like you know like you can give any piece of feedback in a positive or a negative way. It's literally just how you frame the message. How you deliver the message is like just as important as the message itself, you know? So like having that excuse of like you're just really blunt, that's why people don't like playing with you because you're really honest. It's like no, you're just a bit of an asshole. It sounds like of how you're giving like how you're giving feedback. You could always put a negative spin on something, but that means you can always put a positive one as well. So if you're giving feedback to someone, like understand they're human, you know. Don't just like rip into their play or don't make them feel like shit because they made it like a mistake or saying, you know, understand actively why your teammate made that play and like talk it through how they can improve or what they could do better. You know, pick out the positives and the negatives and like actively try to make them better. But yeah, your understanding in the team, like you should never lead with like anger. Like you should never be on the defense with your teammates when they're giving you feedback. Like assume that they're doing it like from the goodness of their heart. They're trying to make you a better player and they're doing it for your own good and the team's good. So yeah, you have to be able to receive and give feedback on the team. Otherwise, like it's the same as anything in life. If you can't give or receive feedback, especially receive it, you're gonna hit a learning curve and you won't get better. That's like the reality, alright? And like no one wants to play with players who can't give or receive feedback, especially receive feedback. Players that are really stubborn on their gameplay, like will fight you to the ends of earth of like why their play was really good and like what you're saying is wrong. It's just like you have to have you have to be able to see things from both sides and both perspectives and actively like actually want to improve. So like receiving feedback and like actually applying it is like the biggest part of working in a team that like is successful and actually gets better and learns from their mistakes. All right, so the next point we're going to look at is setting goals as the team and like having ways to track them. So a good way to actually track progression and like to see whether your team is hitting so the benchmarks expected from everyone is to set goals as a team. You know, have a session where you all just talk about it. You talk about like short-term goals, so like 1 month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and then have like midterm goals, which could be 6 months from now, and then like long-term goals, which could be like a year or two from now. Because the whole point of the team is to like stick together and have longevity, right? So you should have all those goals. You should have ways to track progression and to see whether you hit the goals. So you could say like your short-term goal is to win 5 games of ANZ main, you know, in the season. And then like midterm goal could be to make ANZ main finals. And then long-term goal could be qualifying for ESL ANZ champs, you know. Rest in peace to that, but you know what I mean. So it could be like moving up in leagues. That's setting goals is like a really good way to actually increase motivation, track progression, and to like know that okay, like this is where you started, this is where you've moved to. It's really important. You shouldn't dread setting goals. You should look forward to it. And it's good to keep everyone accountable. If you're setting goals and people are sort of like slacking or like they're losing motivation, just talk about the goals again with them. Be like, hey, like we all set this together, like let's stick it through. Or like, I notice you haven't been like doing individual prac. Remember like our goals, you know, we all need to work together to like make them happen. So setting goals as a team, like it shouldn't be a dreaded thing. It should be something you look forward to and like something that holds people accountable and like gets them excited for playing. Don't set unrealistic, outlandish goals. Like just say like you're a super new team, you're playing like CGO or CGA, like super low leagues or something, like open leagues. And then like your first goal in short term is to make like international event. It's like you're just setting yourself up for like heart crush, you know? Unless you have some crazy first season, it's pretty like unlikely you're going to do that. So you want to set goals that are attainable. Not too easy, not ones that you can just do without trying, but you want to set goals that like get you excited. If you achieve them, you'll be like super pumped, but it's like they're not outlandish. Alright, so we talked about attitude expectations. Now I just want to talk about gameplay expectations. So this links in with the setting goals that we previously spoke about. You can also set individual goals. So if you want to improve your spray, like your mechanics, you know, you think you're a really good caller, like you have a good read of the game, but your mechanics let you down and like you're losing 90% of fights and you're not in favorable positions and you feel like you could be having more impact. You want to set like an individual goal that focuses on mechanics. Your goal could be like do 200 DM kills a day, like, or watch a demo every day. Like, you don't have to set a number on these things. Like watching like 5 demos a day, like if you're not actually like looking for things to improve on and you're not finding valuable things in those demos, there's no point of watching them. You want to watch demos with a specific goal in mind and look at how teams achieve your goal. So just say you feel like you're not taking favorable fights, watch like some of the best players in the world and see how they take those fights. Actually take like measures to improve your weaknesses. But yeah, holding yourself accountable. So like if you feel like, yeah, you're lacking mechanically, okay, set an aim routine, actually commit to it. Actually do it every day. Don't just do it on the days you feel good, you know? Commit to it and actually have the expectation that you're going to do what you say. You're holding yourself accountable and you're wanting to get better. Because a team is only as good as its weakest link, and like if you actually want to make these international spots or like actually want to compete in the top leagues and make finals, you need to all like everyone individually needs to pick up the slack and like play to win, you know? That means focus on your issues and your weaknesses and not like hiding from them, you know? Don't just band-aid cover them every game or like just make excuses. Like actively seek improvement. So the last point we're going to talk about today is the attitude or like mentality of like band-aid fixing issues and mistakes. So like kicking players or replacing players because like you lost a big game or you lost a series that was super close and you should have won in your head, you know. I feel like replacing a player should be like your last resort. You should have tried everything else before. If you've just been replaced from a team without like when you haven't been given any feedback or any criticism, probably wasn't the best team in the first place, you know. You and your teammates should be actively trying to make each other better. You should be seeking feedback and also getting feedback, like or giving feedback. When you're in a team, the best thing about it is that you've got 4 other like-minded players, or you got 5 like-minded players, maybe a manager and coach, 7 like-minded people that want to succeed all together. You know, you bring each other up rather than bring each other down. You actually like pick out the positives rather than negatives all the time. If people make a mistake, you help pick them up. That's the best thing about being in a like competitive team. It's not just you out there, like you've got other people to help and support you. So if you've done it right, you've got a network of people that like aren't just going to give up on you, or you're not going to give up on them when things get hard and things get tough, you know? When you lose a big qualifying game for like finals or like a qualifying game for a league or an international spot. It's happened to me many times. When you lose that many games, you know, you need that support network. You need people who understand and like try to get better and help you through it. Because like that's the only way you grow and the only way you get better. I've been like lots of qualifying games where we've lost and it's like super rough, but like it makes it that much better when you succeed and when you actually like make that qualifying game or like you hit that long-term goal that you've been trying to do for 2-3 years, or like you go overseas for the first time playing a video game. It's like awesome, you know, like, and that can only happen 99% of the time if you stick together, you have a good work environment, and like you want to succeed together. You don't just give up, you don't just replace. Like a big issue nowadays, not even nowadays, always been an issue in this game. People stick together for a season, they don't make their outlandish goal, like in their head they should have won a lot more games or like ANZ champs or something. So then they just disband after a season. And it's like, you know, you're just halting your own progression. You're just restarting the clock, you know? Now you have to re-go over defaults, re-go over executes, re-go over pops, contacts, like whatever you want to do, re-go over strats, gimmicks. And it's just like a revolving door of like lack of progression. You need to actually like try and stick things through. I'm not saying if your team environment sucks, like you stick through it, you know? If an environment sucks and it's like really taxing on you, don't play in it anymore. Like find a new team, find the right team for you, or like build the right team for you. But if the environment's good and it's positive, stick through it, you know, try and get better altogether. It should be a long lasting journey that like you embark on with like mates. It shouldn't just be work. It should be like you're playing with your friends and it's like, if you succeed, it's bloody awesome, you know? But yeah, those are the points that I had on creating a successful and long lasting team. I hope it was helpful and I hope everyone has a good day or night. Thank you.